the Vivaldi Project. And in the largest sense, the idea is a way to combine old and new music in a very organic, through composed presentation. So specifically, we kind of focused in on Vivaldi because actually when we came up with the idea, it was 2011, which was the 300th anniversary of the publication of L'Estro Armonico. So we sort of thought that's an interesting coincidence. So we started with that particular collection of works as where we would begin, and then I just wanted to find a way to write very modern works, but write it in a fashion that they could weave into the Vivaldi pieces, and the idea was to create something new from that process. As I started to work on it, one of the sort of strategies for me to create this weaving was I settled in on a kind of narrative approach. And the title, The Night Scenes, Ospedale della Pietà, basically my thought was, okay, I want to write these contemporary works that are going to be juxtaposed with Vivaldi. Now, the Vivaldi concerti, particularly from L'Estro, are very exuberant. I think of them as light-filled pieces with, virtuosic, extroverted playing, and they're full of, great energy. And I thought one way to kind of contrast that might be something that was a little more internal and sort of introspective and nocturnal was sort of where I went with that. And then I thought, well, this place where he worked is kind of a funny situation. And I just sort of started to think maybe about the nighttime, literally, what it might be like to, at night at this place. And so then I just started, that was my starting point for the music, I guess, just imagining different times of night, different scenarios, and each interlude kind of has an imagined backstory. I mean, it's fiction, I fictionalized it, but that was kind of my way of creating a connection between my interludes and also creating a connection between the past and now. It's kind of a little bit of a work of fiction, I guess, in that sense. It was very important to us that the show, the performance was continuous and as fluid as possible. So that meant no set changes. We didn't want to be a situation where we would have to, roll out some percussion or do some sort of change or modification between my interludes and the Vivaldi. We wanted them to be absolutely continuous, attacca when at all possible. Therefore, my ensemble is the exact same instrumentation as what the Vivaldi would be. But the group is the Sebastian chamber players, and their leader is Daniel Lee, who is a Baroque violinist and conductor and wears many hats. The group is always really top notch. These are people who specialize in historical performance. They play on period instruments, gut strings, and they're very sensitive to performance practice, and they attempt to recreate something that is maybe closer to how it would have been approached back then. I wanted to create something that was very contemporary and very contrasting to the Vivaldi. So I use a number of techniques that Vivaldi never used, and that really didn't come into practice until the 20th century. So just different ways of creating sounds, playing behind the bridge, using pressure techniques to create a spectrum from full tone to noise, to very whispery sounds, tapping the instruments literally on the body, playing on what's called the tailpiece, actually, which kind of speaks to something which sort of also inspired the project, which are all the Sebastians they're young, well, they're my age, and they are coming up in a way that they are equally comfortable and can playing very contemporary music and playing this historical informed Baroque early music. So it's a really wonderful type of musician that's so flexible.